National College Football Roundup, only one place to start. Ted, we're geniuses. Geniuses. And could tell the future. Went back and looked. We did an episode on October 17th, 2021. The title of said episode, OU-TCU recap, can Caleb Williams win the Heisman? Nailed it, man. The answer is yes. Yes, he can. We nailed it. We knew this was coming. We knew well over a year ago this was coming.
What a horrible episode. Recapping that OU-TCU game and then discussing Caleb Williams winning the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
Well, it became apparent, obviously got some help, Hendon Hooker getting injured, like that felt like it was where it was going to go because of the year that he had and that Tennessee had. Caleb had the right games lined up there at the end of the season to really make a climb for it. And it was a weird year. And I don't mean this taking anything away from Caleb Williams. He was, I think, definitely the rightful winner. But it didn't necessarily feel like anyone went out and grabbed it. It's just like everyone kind of faltered and there wasn't really much of a choice left.
Yeah, it was like everyone finished poorly, and he was just so important to his team that they're like, yeah, let's give it to him.
Yeah.
And that's fair. I'm not trying to take away anything from him. He was really, really good for them this season. I don't know how many games they win if he's not their quarterback, but it's a hell of a lot less than they did win.
No doubt.
I mean, he was spectacular. He becomes the 8th USC Trojan to win the Heisman Trophy. And, man, that was a long speech, though. Whoa. Now, and listen, you win the Heisman Trophy, you get to take as long as you want with the speech. Them's the rules. I am fine with it, but, man, what was it, like 13 minutes?
Woo.
Now, I will say, he thanked pretty much everyone he could thank, and I thought that was cool. I did. Yeah, thanked all the right people. Had a couple of jokes that landed early on, which I was like, okay, he's getting into the groove, good stuff. But I didn't know if they were going to start to try to play him off like the Oscars, like, hey man, we got to get to commercial eventually. But it was, I thought it was a solid speech, covered all the bases, and then I'm a sucker for showing your old linemen some love, man. That was cool. That was, as a former offensive lineman, that was a really cool moment. I thought that, and I know there are a lot of people that want to be very cynical about that. Don't be. Just accept it. It was really cool. It was cool as hell. And I don't care where the money came from that allowed him to be able to purchase the tickets for his old lineman. He didn't have to do it.
Right.
He did it. And he brought them all, and they all got recognized. They got to stand up during the middle of the Heisman Trophy acceptance speech. As an offensive lineman, that never is something you think you're going to get to experience. That was cool as hell, man.
It's the first time that's never happened before, has it?
No.
I mean, so, yeah.
And people want to say, well, it's NIL now, and he's got the money to afford. Listen, I get that. But that doesn't change the fact that it was really cool.
Right.
Like, that was a very cool moment.
Yeah, and here's the thing, man. And he understands this, and I'm not saying that this is necessarily why he did it, but like when you have individual FaceTime on a national broadcast like that, it's worth a lot of money. So you stretch it out as long as you can, especially if you're not up there making a jerk out of yourself. You got a good speech put together and you can recognize a bunch of people. Like that's 13 minutes of primetime television. That costs a lot of money. So you use it for what you can when you got it.
I'm with you. And he made the most of his moment, man. He just kept going and going and going. It was all good stuff. I really liked the stuff, talking about almost like speaking to younger kids, like, hey, if they're doubting you now, like you can do it, you can accomplish well, whatever you put your mind to. Like, that was cool.
Mhm.
It was cool. And I know that there's some people that are like, well, he only brought the O lineman because it's good PR. It's like, listen, I don't care. Yes, it's good
It
PR.
is. It is
Yes,
good
it's
PR.
calculated. Everything that Caleb Williams and his family have done pretty much since he got into college, like, it's like the bigger picture is in mind. Like, they view him as a brand, and it's good for the brand to bring the O line.
That's right.
It's also still very cool and an experience that, as far as I know, no other O lineman has ever had.
It's good
So
for the O-line that it's good for the brand, right?
exactly. And it's good for him to have all those offensive linemen be happy going into next year. And I know some of them are moving on, but that's just good for overall business, man. It's good stuff. I liked
Yep.
it. So I get some people still feel a certain way about him and about Lincoln Riley, but I love the offensive line love, man. I really did. One confusing thing. USC, and this is the dumb stuff I think about when I watch these things. USC, a Nike school. Caleb Williams rocking the Adidas and Gucci collab suit
I saw that.
could not have made the Nike execs happy. It may be a sign of things to come. Has he already signed with Adidas and we just don't know it?
It may be a message to Nike to break out the check, but then if that's what you want, let's go. I will say though, and I'm not
I'm a fitted
fashion.
suit guy. I'm a fitted suit guy. I know that the oversized look is like high fashion right now.
Well,
It's not what I would have gone with.
not even that. Like the Adidas pinstripes on the suit pants just make them look like sweatpants to me.
It's
Right?
fashion, Ted.
Yeah, I know.
Deal
That's what I
with it.
said. I don't understand it, but that's fine. I can if people tell me that that's what's in, okay, I'm down with it. I get it.
Yeah. Lincoln Riley clearly was prominently featured on the broadcast. And listen, I know, I get it. But the man has been a head coach for 6 seasons in college football. 5 at Oklahoma, now 1 at USC. His quarterbacks won the Heisman Trophy 3 of the past 6 seasons. And Jalen Hurts finished runner-up.
Well, that's what I was about to say.
It's insane, man.
I think
it's insane.
I think of the 6 years, well, maybe he wasn't head coach when Baker was runner up. So maybe it's 5 out of 7 years he's either won or had the runner up there, right? Because Jalen was the runner up and Baker was the runner up the year before he won it, right?
I think that's right. And
Yeah.
he was the coordinator there, but still, like,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
You know what else is interesting? Now that Caleb transferred to USC, it's still all transfers, which is interesting. Like, I don't think that takes anything away from his coaching ability or recruiting ability. Obviously, he recruited Caleb from the get-go. It's just get used to that in college football, that when your quarterback wins a Heisman Trophy, there's a good chance that it's going to be a guy that transferred from somewhere else, right? That's just kind of the nature of the sport now.
Yeah. And last thing about the Heisman, Max Duggan coming in second is just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from second string to start the season to finish in second for the Heisman Trophy.
Incredible.
And his team's
done.
going to the college football playoff. Like, I feel like we haven't focused on just how wild his story, and they did a really nice job on the broadcast of the Heisman stuff. You know, really pulling at our heartstrings for Duggan. It was good.
He's got a great
it.
story. I mean, that's the one thing, and I knew it wasn't going to be enough. There's just too many voters out west, and there's been so much pent up demand out there for something to rally around football wise. But like, he had the Heisman story that they love to pump up and write about. It was impressive. I think that they can do some damage in the playoff. Like, I know Michigan's a really good team, but the threat of him running the football is something that Michigan hadn't seen a whole lot of, especially combined with the other skill talent that they got. It's going to be fun to see how it works out.
Yeah.
And he's got another year, right?
Yeah, he can come back.
You think he will?
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Especially with, NIL stuff. Like you have to assume that, he can talk to whoever he needs to talk to, and like he'll get taken care of and probably be making some pretty damn good money next year playing quarterback for TCU, I would assume.
Yeah. I have no idea what his draft grade would be.
I'll say this. He's got all the intangibles you want in a quarterback and a leader.
Yeah.
I mean, he does. Now, does he have the strongest arm? No. Is he the most accurate guy ever? No. But guy's a damn football player.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him quite be the battering ram this year.
That's
like we've seen the last two, but
he's a big physical runner with a football. Like, he will require a mindset change whenever he goes to the next level. Right. Those guys do not last long in the league if you don't slide and get down.
Yeah. But as far as being a competitor and being like a good locker room guy, I think he could stick as like a second or third string quarterback, especially with his mobility. Every team is interested in having mobile guys at the quarterback position. I would not be shocked if we look up 10 years from now and we're like, wait, Max Duggan's on his fourth team, but he's been in the league for 10 years. Like, he could be that type of guy.
I could see it. He's going to be a sports trivia question a decade from now. Who finished runner up in the 2022 Heisman Trophy race, right? As he's inserted as backup quarterback in week 9 to go out and try and beat the Broncos or something.
Yeah. I will say, I'll always wonder what the voting may have looked like if TCU was able to get it done in the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah.
Especially if like Duggan goes diving into the end zone to win it or something like that. I'll always wonder. Now, it didn't work out that way, and congrats.
He went diving into the end zone, all right, but they did not rule it a touchdown. It's crazy.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what it looks like for TCU in the playoff. That game still a couple weeks away. We'll break it down when it gets closer. Okay. One thing I wanted to talk about, because I think it's great for college football as a whole. Drake Maye is staying at North Carolina. And he posts a picture on Twitter. The caption read, "Could never leave this place. I'm a Tar Heel." All North Carolina fans, I assume, breathed a significant sigh of relief. I assume Mac Brown did the same, because the rumors had really picked up once North Carolina's former offense coordinator, Phil Longo, he left for for Wisconsin and to join Luke Fickell's staff. And a lot of people looked at that and went, oh, well, is Drake Maye going to follow him to Wisconsin? Like, is he going to go to the highest bidder, enter the portal, go to the highest bidder? Right. He got recruited by Bama. I think he flipped from Bama actually to North Carolina as a recruit. So there was all these things being said, but he comes out and said, no, I love playing here. I'm staying. A bunch of family ties to the program. And I'm just really glad, man, because I'm glad that a guy of his caliber, who some people think that he can challenge Caleb Williams to be the first pick in the 2024 NFL draft. I'm glad a guy of that caliber was like, no, I'm good. Now, I'm sure North Carolina's taking care of him. Don't get me wrong. But I just thought it felt very healthy for the sport for him to stay put, if that makes sense.
I agree. 100% agree. I like that decision. It is interesting to think like what he would be capable of at one of those programs that has the insane amount of talent that they'd be able to surround him with. Like, very few times did Drake Maye go into a game with, the best offensive line, the best skill guys surrounding him. He did a lot of that stuff on his own. If you can if you have a dominant offensive line, it changes things massively for a quarterback. But all that being said, I love that he stayed, and you would think that should give North Carolina a boost in the transfer portal for receivers, skill position guys that want to come in and be a part of an offense that should be able to do some really good things next year.
Yeah, that was one of my thoughts as well when I saw the news. I was like, it went from what would have been a catastrophic situation for North Carolina to maybe the best recruiting tool imaginable.
No doubt. Yep.
Like, hey, Drake Maye, yeah, the guy that everyone thinks is going to be the number 1 draft pick here in the next draft, he wants to stay here. He doesn't want to go to Bama or Ohio, wherever. He wants to stay at North Carolina. I mean, you're Mac Brown and that staff. You got to be using that out on the recruiting trail, and that's for your recruiting class, but also guys coming in from the portal, like you mentioned, Ted. Like, it's massive for North Carolina, but I'm really glad, because I do think there are some guys that just jump into the portal, and I don't blame these guys, because it's the way the system is, right? It's how it works now. But there's some guys that jump in to see what offers they get, and I was just, I don't know if that feels like, when you're talking about star players, especially star quarterbacks like Drake Maye, that feels like it would take college football down a very, I don't know, unhealthy path. I don't know. I was really, really glad he made the decision that he made.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's while the transfer portal is somewhat a positive for college football, I don't know if there's positives about it. There's negatives too. I mean, it's weird to think that anyone on any team can be a free agent at any moment and go anywhere in the country they want. And that naturally lends itself to the best teams, the best programs continuing to be able to add the best talent. And right, there's a reason you can't do that in the NFL. Like, they want the talent spread throughout the league, right? That's why you have the draft. That's why, there's a way to order the draft picks, and you try and keep it as balanced as you can. And college football already does not have a balance of power. And if stuff like this were to continue, like, this is like to try to maintain some type of parity. So I agree with you. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, it would have been so deflating for him to be like, yeah, I'm jumping to the portal and going to Georgia.
I know. Yeah.
I think not only would it have been deflating for North Carolina's fan bases, but there would have been a lot of fan bases across the country going, oh my God, like, we could be next, and I'm very glad we avoided that situation.
Do you think Tennessee their collective donated a bunch of money to North Carolina's collective to keep Drake Maye from going to Georgia?
I hope so. Whatever they gave is worth it, man, because that dude can sling it. And no, we don't. We need Drake Maye in Chapel Hill. We don't need him down in Athens. They got enough dudes. They don't need that guy.
That's right.
We want this to be somewhat interesting, there to be some mystery when it comes to who's going to end up winning these national championships. Okay. Only thing I have left in the National College Football Roundup. There was a game this weekend, and I watched just about every snap of it because, I don't know, there's nothing else to watch. And Army-Navy, the pageantry of that game's so cool.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, it is the stuff before the game, watching those teams run out. Like, it just feels different than every other college football game. And I love it. Like, my disdain for the triple option. I think it's a tool of Satan. I think it's like the most boring thing to watch ever, but it doesn't keep me from watching these two teams go at it every single year. And it's always an incredible jersey matchup. Those Navy helmets were so sick. But Ted, The first pass didn't get completed until 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. It was a painful watch for me, but I enjoyed it anyways. Overtime, baby. Overtime.
Yeah, well, first completed pass came within 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, but you got to the fourth quarter in like 45 minutes. That's the beauty of it.
That was the fastest first half ever.
I
I
know
don't
it.
know if anyone keeps that stat. I was like, oh my God, it's over.
Remember whenever we played Army, it was like everyone's watching the clock going, oh no, like the game's disappearing. Where's the game going right now? Yeah, I think it's awesome, man. It's a throwback. It's you understand. Like, it's just I don't know all of the stuff around it, but just like, whenever both teams are doing something similar like that, I think it makes it a lot better. It becomes less of keep away. Like whenever they're playing an up tempo offense, it's they're playing a game of keep away out there. But yeah, this is fun, man. And I guess Navy's getting a new coach, huh?
Yeah, I saw that. Ken Niumatalolo won't be back for 2023. Had a ton of success there in Navy, but the Naval Academy looking for a new head coach. I thought that this was when they were talking about it on the broadcast. I was like, is that right? It was the first time they'd ever gone to overtime. And they had played like 132 times.
Yeah, well, they didn't even have overtime until like the mid 90s. You ended in a tie,
Which,
but that
I'm getting
style
enough of that with the World Cup.
I
Or
know.
I got enough. Now they actually make someone win, which is nice.
Right.
So I enjoy it more.
The style of play that they have every year lends itself to what you would think would be a lot of overtime games, right?
You would assume, but I will say the overtime, like the majority of the game was boring. I'll just say it was boring. It was great, but it was boring. That overtime was exciting as hell. What first play overtime? What Markel Johnson rips off a 25-yard touchdown run. That place was going nuts. Then Navy hits him with the play action. Didn't even see it coming. I think that was their first completion of the game to tie it up and send it to double overtime. And oh man, I felt so bad for Anton Hall from Navy. Fumbles going in to the end zone of that second overtime. Oh, just a brutal way to lose a football game.
Tough. Yep. Man, you hate to be you like to win and lose as a team, and I know they did, but you hate to have like that moment, right? Where everyone can say, no, 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 we didn't lose this team. You fumbled the football, right? That's what you're trying to avoid. It's like you don't always necessarily try and win the game. You just try not to lose it, right?
Yeah, that's one that Anton Hall is going to think about for a long, long time. But last thing on this game, first Army Navy game where the over hits in 16 years.
Man, you want to really torture yourself? Bet the over in that football game, right?
Could you imagine?
Oh my God.
What sickos bet the over in Army Navy? Now, I don't know what the odds were, but I assume there was some juice on the over, and sure, why not?
It's like that's a living room pacer right there. It's like, what are we doing, guys? It's 3rd and 12. Throw the football. What are we doing right now?
It was fun though. It was fun. Always fun. I love watching that game, even though I hate the triple option. I really do, but I love watching that game. All right, let's